Raymond, I suppose, Raymond or Reggie, which one?
Sure, but known by both at the moment.
By both at the moment. Reggie, in terms of Ballyea, when Robbie told you about the opportunity to come back and the sort of project that he was going to do, was there a bit of hesitancy in your mind at first of all, saying, right, we've been to the pinnacle, we've been to the oracle in terms of what we achieved, what more can we do? What more can we bring or add to this sort of project that we haven't done before? Did that ever cross your mind?
To be honest, when myself and Rob were talking, we were kind of even talking before we even approached, we kind of got a feeler that Robbie was going to be approached and myself, like. So, look, the two of us were always together, you know. Yeah. So we just kind of, when one went, the second one was going to go. So it was kind of all in or no in, like. So, and look, at times it's easier once you know all the pen and all the boys. We were there before, you know. So it has made it easier for us that way, like. Now a couple of new players that came into it, we didn't know them, you know. So, but they've kind of blended in well. So not so bad.
And I suppose, Reggie, in terms of this year, I suppose it's been an up and down sort of thing. It's been on, off. We don't know whether we have them sport or not sort of sport. In those sort of darker days when sport wasn't an element, how did you sort of keep the knit, the bond going in terms of keeping the whole project where that you wanted to be? Because many times there was a tendency, right, are we ever going to see the field again?
Yeah, like when we started planning at the start of the year, look at every spanner was kind of thrown us between the COVID and the whole lot and everything. But like Kevin O'Grady came in with us, you know, great experience from Flannan's, you know, was with Cushing for a couple of years there, you know, kind of blended away in, and Adrian O'Brien, S&C coach, and like an awful lot of it was done on Zoom and you know, programs and plans in place. So and then, you know, we'd pick our own pocket of players in and zone in it. You know, Joe Quillivan had his pocket, Dermot O'Sullivan had his pocket, Robbie had his pocket, I'd have my pocket, and we kind of concentrated on that, and it kind of made it easier that way. As before, we were kind of taking everything on our shoulders. We really kind of split it out this time, you know. So, and it kind of worked for us. You know, instead of one workload down top of everyone, it was well split up. And Kevin and Adrian, like, they came to the fore in that. Because you know, Adrian was involved there with Limerick, with the footballers and stuff, like, so he'd have his know, and Kevin with the Flannans inside, like, so just good help, like, you know.
And I suppose the early season campaign, the league sort of campaign, you would probably have, I would say, got what you wanted out of it in some senses, but still you weren't coming in when people just talked at the start of the year. People were mentioning the bridge, obviously, again, they were mentioning one or two more. Sort of Ballyea sort of went sort of quietly into this sort of championship this year, in terms of people saying, well, Ballyea will be there or thereabouts, but no one sort of said that Ballyea were the dog that was going to take 6 Mile Bridge off its perch either.
Yeah, it probably got under the radar kind of suits us, but the league was zoned in on getting 6 or 7 of the younger fellas as much game time as you possibly can, and it actually worked out brilliantly for us, because most of the time with a different team each day we were going out, so we see fellas in different positions, you know, and we knew we had the blood, get 4 or 5 into the team, and it's kind of worked out well for us, you know. So like most years, like Jim, you know yourself with the league, we don't have our county boys, you know, or football and hurling, like, so like you're always blooding, you know. So but we seem to have really zoned in this year for the younger fellas, like, you know, so.
And I know a good lot of this contingent of Ballyea are younger players. They're in colleges, they're spread all off over the country as well. I know that for the likes of Peter Casey's up in Dublin, for example, and a few other. How have you sort of managed to sort of those sort of big long treks in terms of keeping players fresh and players sort of demands as well?
Well, that really has only come into the fold maybe in the last 6 or 7 weeks, because an awful lot of boys were kind of locked up at home and work.
Okay.
Do you know, so like lucky enough, like we have enough contacts up above in Dublin and get a couple of sessions in up above there. The boys would meet up themselves, like, you know, they'd actually meet up in nights, like 3 or 4 of them, 5 of them, like meet up above there, and they drive a session themselves, like, you know. So it's kind of, it's an odd thing to say, but with the COVID thing, we had more around this time than we ever had before, you know. Like from the last time we were involved, it was nearly more of a headache for us, you know, from colleges were going at the time, they were fully open, you know, like an awful lot has been done. An awful lot of boys have the flexi to work from home, you know, so like it's only the last 5 or 6 weeks that it really came into fold. But when fellas get a sniff themselves, you know, it's very easy for them to manage it themselves, you know. So.
And I know in terms of there's so many affiliations tied in with sort of Ballyea, and obviously players are only human as well when they're tied up. When one code maybe mightn't be going great, it can affect confidence, it can affect belief. And how do you try to stop that maybe transferring into the hurling? Because there's been a few clubs now that affiliated that have probably had seasons that they would rather to forget in terms of other sports.
You see, all the clubs that we have, all the players that we have involved from the other clubs, they've been at the Jewels since they're 8 years of age. They've been coming here, you know. So, like they manage it themselves. Like it's the biggest thing that we do is when we train on the Tuesday nights or whatever on the Thursday nights and stuff like. It's straight away just positivity on just on the hurl and get your touch in. You know, nothing is ever mentioned of a weekend of football or what has happened. Like, you know, it's once they have that jersey on, and they have that on since they're 8 years of age, so they're well used to, you know, coming from their own club in football to here. You know, this is their club for hurling, like, and that's it, like, you know. So.
And I suppose, Raymond, one of the things that have been labelled at Ballyea in the past, well, Tony's going to hit 8 or 9 points, Niall Deasy's going to hit 6 or 7 points, and who are the other forwards are going to stand up and get the scores for Ballyea. But this time this year around, the youngsters have really stepped up to the mark, and people will say, hold on a minute, Niall's probably had only maybe 2 points from play, but there's another forward there that's had 3, or there's another forward there that's put over 2 from the bar. So you're spreading out the scores a lot better this time around.
Yeah, as that goes back to the league again, that's what we zoned on. We knew ourselves we had to more spreads of scores because teams were going to target the 3 or 4, you know, top players of ourselves. So that was kind of like when we met at the start of the year of what we go at first. It's spread of scores, different around, load a few players into it, and then it's an awful thing to say, like the older generation, which are still young, you know, to get them to be trusted to spread the balls to them as well, you know. Instead of maybe at times taking on a score, see can we feed it to get a goal, or see can we feed it to get them to get a score and get them into the game, you know. So.
And I suppose you probably watched Inagh Kilnamona against Rogue in terms of your thoughts. And when it came down to the crunch, Inagh Kilnamona's probably stick work and natural hurling won out over Rogue's sort of hunger and tenacity. So that probably goes to show you that these boys are natural stickmen.
Oh yeah, without look at the break of under 21 A's one, they have a lot of boys that came through the Harty inside and Flannans, like, and in fairness that they have fair grafts in them as well. Like they were like ourselves, they come in their dream to the game to anyone in the melting pot, and you know, they stood up to it, and like they're a fair unit of a team. They're you know, they've completely won every game up along, you know, but. And look at it, it's kind of it's great the first time that they're in it, and you know, they'll enjoy it and they'll enjoy the buzz of it, like, but they'll be zoning away now saying, you know, we'll get at Ballyea like ourselves, like getting, you know, at Inagh. So look at they're a good team, you know, and they want to go on top of the pinnacle to beat them. That's the way I look at it.
And finally, one sort of thing just on Inagh Kilnamona, it was probably a tough year for David Fitzgerald on the county scene, but he's really taken that anger and vengeance out in the club championship this year. He's contributing maybe 4 points from play every day out and half back, and he's really took it on his sort of shoulders to drive Inagh Kilnamona. That probably hurt in this criticism he got from Clare. He's certainly sort of making it up for it in the club championship.
Yeah, I look at whatever happened in the Clare setup, it's kind of their own thing. Like he's been exceptional at wing back, and he moves out to midfield and he's driving forward. I've seen him a couple of times this year, following, you know, the Inagh to see where they're going. And look at, he's a fair unit. And look at times when a player is knocked, that brings him out better and stronger at the end of it, you know. So like, fair play to him, yeah.
And would this mean as much to you as the first one, Raymond?
It would, yeah. Look at we've, since I've been 8 years of age, I've been hurling here with Ballyea myself, and then got involved with them. look at every day you go out and you have the black and amber on your back, you want to win. That's it. Do you know? So Jim.